What's up, everyone? Today we're going to talk about Blue Tongue Skink phenotype versus lineage. So, lineage is how a lot of the blue tongues were described throughout the years. You got like the sunrise, which is a more of a yellow line, the Turner white, ones that will get whiter with age. Sunset is a little more orange, but is actually the same line as sunrise, just a little different look. And then you got others like the Fen Orange, which is Fen's line of orange line, and then you got a couple other orange lines. So as lines get outcrossed throughout the years and generations move on, what is the best way to describe your pet blue tongue skink? If you want to call it more than just a northern blue tongue. A lot of times, the more wild type, the normals will come as classics, and kind of the best way to describe a classic is they're not as fancy looking. Some of the ones from various litters that were, just not as fancy are just sold as classics. So some of those might keep a little better color than the standard classics, but even as selective breeding throughout the years, the standard classics have gotten better with age, but they will still brown out more with age, whereas some of the more line bred lines will get a little better. And the difference between line breeding and selective breeding it kind of be similar, but end of the day you're going for a specific outcome, and one, usually is a straight line where you're not really doing any outcrossing or anything, but a lot of the breeders are doing various amounts of outcrossing, so that's not an issue. But the main purpose of this is so you know what line it's from, but what phenotype is it really expressing, because there's some from certain lines that, as litters are quite variable, you can get ones from certain lines that might not have that, that certain red look, for example. Certain people will label them as like a 7 out of 10 or a high red, low red. And, everyone has their own way to determine what the best way for that is. Whether if they have a red head higher, it all depends on the person. Some people, it's more on the brightness of the color, the contrast of it. There's various things that pull into it. Is a various mix of oranges and reds and a little bit of yellow, but phenotypically, I would call him a very phenomenal reduced black orange northern. As you can see, he's just got a couple black spots that poke through with age. When he was younger, he looked basically like lava. So you can see he's got vibrant oranges from head to tail. As some, they will kind of run out of color as the tail goes. Whereas you can see this one kept phenomenal color from head to tail. And then other ones, as you'll get more outcrosses, are even harder to tell by the lineage when you're mixing, so much black lines with reduced lines, outcrossing this and that. Typically they'll look more of that high black, even though only one of the parents is expressing it. Kind of the best way to put it is basically they get more genetics or polygenics from that one parent than the other. That's why they'll get more black or look more black. So if you have one that is a solid red parent and some that is a solid orange parent, you'll get some that are more red, some that are more orange. Then you'll have some in between that's more of a salmon. Whereas even some will get kind of a combination where they get red down the back and orange sides. And the percent of a certain, like, so if they're from a line that's reducing the black, the actual percentage of black they gain from age will vary. At the end of the day, the best way to describe your pet is, give it a name, a northern blue tongue skink, or whether you got one of the other various species of blue tongues. There is some various genetic mutations being produced now that they're more like, the genetics you see in ball pythons or morphs, as a lot of people call. That's where get the confusion is, in a lot of species. Initially, the only way that you'd get those vibrant colors is from genetic mutations, where blue tongues throughout years have, been selectively bred for great oranges and reds, kind of like bearded dragons, where now those are finally getting genetic mutations also. I hope this was helpful. This is one of our big females, and she's produced some of our vibrant oranges throughout the years, and hope to produce some more. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe.